Today's AskReddit post. Serious, people that have had sex with someone with a disability. What was different about the experience? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. The profoundly deaf make interesting sex noises. That is all. Could be true. I'm deaf, so I can neither confirm nor deny. Edit. All you guys whose genitalia are making strange sounds later on in this post should get themselves looked at by a doctor. I may be deaf, but even I know your dad shall not be making noise. Serious question. Could someone sign language the encounter and would it make sense? I volunteer as a sign language interpreter at the orgy. Dated a girl who was blind about 7 years ago. Having sex with her was pretty normal, although she used her hands a lot more. Edit. To clarify a small detail, we dated 7 years ago. The woman in question was born blind and, as far as I know, still is. That's awesome. Dated a girl with MIS in the past. She walked with a limp and had some motor control issues, but the sex was pretty normal. She struggled being on top, but she gave her all. That's the thing about disabled people. The ones that really make it in life have got levels of enthusiasm for the whole deal on account of the joy of triumph over massive strife. It's like this kind of joy that needs a critical mass of suffering to understand and experience. But when you do, it must be goddamn existential awakening, judging by the disabled people I've known. They always make me feel like an entitled, jaded, unenlightened piece of shit because they've been so utterly screwed by the universe but so utterly seem to be content to exist in it. I dated an absolutely gorgeous one-armed woman for a few weeks. Sex was great. Couldn't do doggy for obvious reasons. She broke it off with me because I was too immature for her, which I totally was at that time of my life. She ended up marrying one of my good buds and they have a son together. Very happy for both of them. Why was doggy out of the table? You don't need both arms for it though. Maybe she didn't like trying to balance on one arm, or having her face smooshed hard into the bed. I had sex with a woman who had lost most of her leg to cancer. They had even removed a piece of her hip. The strangest thing was that she really only had one ass cheek. I mean, she had two, but one was really small and the other was quite large. So it was like she only had one. Super sweet girl. I had a dude who lost his dancing with a train. His was above the knee but below the hip. It was all fun and games until he popped his prosthesis off, threw it across the room and started going to town propped up on his residual limb. I work in healthcare, but I was still nervous about how hard that femur was rocking. If this femur's a rockin', don't come a knockin'. Hooked up with a blind chick one time. She was very handsy and less judgmental. It was a positive experience. With a fear of sounding judgmental, how did you end up meeting and eventually hooking up with a blind person? I've never seen a blind person on any bars or dating apps, and I can't imagine them interacting much romantically with strangers in public. Had sex with a mute woman. Honestly wasn't that different. Still lots of moaning, but didn't at all notice during the act. Switching positions was still normal too since we both gestured with our bodies. Can mute people moan? I think it depends on the nature of their muteness, but generally yes. Oh, I see, didn't know. I thought they couldn't make any sounds at all. A lot of mute people are actually deaf. There is nothing wrong with their vocal cords. They just never learned how to use spoken language. My partner is a bilateral above knee amputee and doesn't wear prosthetics. We can't do it from behind, but he's extremely flexible. Lack of muscles and tendons do this. We found some positions that work better for us and others that really don't. 10/10 would highly recommend shagging him. Edit. Oh you naughty pickles. 5k upvotes. Gonna have to make an OnlyFans for him at this rate. He's reading this and basking in his sexual prowess. Wait, does that mean you guys are sharing him? Nah, unfortunately he's all mine. I just would highly recommend doing the bedroom dance with him. But seriously though, I was really wary to begin with when we started dating. I didn't want to live a life where I looked after him or helped him with things. But actually it was 100% the other way round. He's my rock and biggest supporter. I'm so lucky to have the love of my life by my side. I would recommend those that are single and looking, don't be afraid to date someone who has a different life ability than you. You will be surprised. Cheers for turning my cheap joke into the most wholesome post ever. I hope you guys continue to have an amazing life together. I have positive life experiences with physical disabilities through my amazing Aunt Miz and my dad, partially paralyzed after a stroke. So I know it definitely wouldn't be a deal breaker for me, but I've got pretty good childhood trauma from an abusive mother with mental illness, so that's something that would be an instant no-go for me. I think it's important for us to explore our boundaries and what works for us. I had sex with a man missing his left arm and shoulder. He was really good at spooning. 10/10. Would spoon again. I'm guessing he spooned laying on his left side, unless he deliberately made his only arm the bottom spooning arm. Who would submit themselves to that kind of torture? GF. This is my side of the bed. I can't sleep on the other side. BF. But then I have to lay on my right side. GF. Spoon ME. My partner was born without a femur in one of his legs. Affects sex 0% from my perspective. He's expressed before that he's disappointed he can never hold a girl up against a wall and have sex while holding her. I can't think of a more uncomfortable position though and have no desire to try it. So I'm secretly glad that this isn't a possibility. Not a cool position at all. I have a permanent drywall scar at the top of my ass crack from getting the dick rammed into me against a wall. It was highly textured too, so it ripped the shit out of my skin. I actually left blood all over the wall. Serious question. Did you not see that coming a mile away after just looking at the wall? Like I cared? I wanted the D. I have cerebral palsy. I'm wheelchair bound about 80% of the time and have such bad muscle spasms and tremors during high activity like sex that I'm prone to collapse or instant exhaustion. It's made for awkward encounters my whole life. However, it also led to me earning the nickname the human vibrator, and though encounters were awkward, I have never had an experience where they didn't orgasm. Between this and the free parking, I'd say I'm doing alright in life. Edit. I went to bed giggling over this post and did not expect it to get so much attention. Thanks all for the awards and hilarious comments. Fucking tear it up, my guy. Mad props on your ducking superpower. Literally a ducking superpower. Hooked up with a blind guy a few years ago. Honestly, some of the best sex of my life. Intimate as hell. He was a huge cuddler, and we actually talked a whole lot. Even though it was a hookup, we became friends after because of how much we just chatted, lol. 10/10. Was he born blind? An acquaintance works for a special interest organization for the blind. Was having dinner with him and a few friends and acquaintances when one guy asks him, "How do people become blind?" Deadpan answer followed suit. Suddenly, apparently there are conditions where your retina can just fall down like someone dropping the curtain at a theater. No, or little warning beforehand. While this is rare, most people who aren't born blind usually lose their sight in accidents. Good luck everyone. Wear safety goggles. Husband has type 1 diabetes. I always know shit's about to get real when he unplugs his insulin pump. Like, yes, unplug that so you can plug into me. Dated a girl in my high school days with type 1. I know exactly what you mean. I have to rate ETs and sometimes I swear or slap myself in the chest. He says it doesn't change anything. I had a partner who had to rate ETs. He had little tics, nothing verbal. He would snap or give a little shake when cuddling. It was cute to me. My husband also has the non-verbal tics or uncontrollable nods when he's super relaxed. I love him so much, he's my person. We've known each other since we were 13. We are 31 this year, and been together 7 years and married for 2 of those years. I knew about his mild to rate ETs then and now, but he's come such a long way. 2. In sickness and in health till death do we part. Was with a girl with a leg amputated above the knee. It was amazing, and the cuddling after was second to none. If you don't mind my asking what was different about it, I work with a girl who has an above the knee amputation and I think we both like each other but I'm not sure. I didn't realize how much the leg below ruins cuddling. Thor 1. Gonna ask my so to have her lower leg removed now. A couple of years back I met a lady that was missing a lower leg and had a deformed arm. Took her to my place and went to bed. Not really anything unusual about it at all up until this point. In the middle of the night I need to go to the bathroom. So I step out of the bed and onto her leg. Her prosthetic leg that she had taken off and placed under the bed. I look down and see a foot. This is unusual to me because it has never happened before and I legit, in my drunken train of thought there was a dead body under the bed. It scared the crap out of me. It took me half a minute to realize it was hers. You sound like good people. Don't feel bad. Thanks. I don't. We had a good long laugh about it next morning. Hooked up with a girl with a lisp. Her OMG yes almost had me laughing the first time she said it while I was going downtown. Sounds like Mama Tyson had a good time. Edit. Thank you kind stranger. Now Kith. I had a negative experience. He felt his disability, physical, entitled him to do what he liked with me. He was very pushy and had boundary issues. On a physical level, what I agreed to was pretty good. I have worked with disabled people before and also made the experience that they can be very pushy. In my case some of the disabled guys at my place of work tried to invite my co-workers who were my age, about 18-20, back to their flat or room every day despite being rejected all the time. So disabled guys can be creeps, just like able-bodied ones? Who knew? Interesting noises from a deaf girl, especially interesting when I wasn't aware of her deafness. We had communicated the whole night and the club via text on her phone. Then her being a different nationality and me being in a different country, I'd assumed it to be a language barrier thing when she kept the phone texting up on the walk back to my room. I was quite drunk which probably didn't help realizing sooner but it was an instant realization once the noises began. Sex with a deaf guy. Really similar experience. There was a lot of feedback from his hearing aid so he switched it off. Not bad overall. I dated a guy with spina bifida for a few years because he had decreased sensation in his genitals. He discovered masturbation with his nipples in his youth. That was incorporated into almost everything we did. He was also very easily turned on by dirty talk and could orgasm easily in the process of eating pussy. I was lucky. Asterisk. One of the downsides was he had a neurogenic bladder and was an intermittent cath user. So he had a constant UT. The bacteria was just colonized all over in there. Even with condoms. I also had UTs all the time. Guys who can come from eating pussy are hot. I'm trying to figure out how that happens honestly lol. Our goal is to please women. Eating a girl out, having her orgasm, and squeezing the hell out of my head pretty much does it for me. I've actually had problems finishing with regular sex after I get a girl to orgasm the first time from oral. It's all psychological. Not really sex but I dated this girl for a few months who had a hair lip, where the lip goes up to the nose, and a bone disease in her jaw that caused her to have surgery and she literally has a metal jaw. In a hoe. She was Christian and didn't send nudes or wanted to have full-blown sex till marriage but her head game was insane. She could breathe through her hair lip while deep throating which she used to her advantage. But once while she was blowing me off I came and it shot out of the gap in her lip like a snot rocket. That's enough for me folks. My GF has rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, and several other autoimmune diseases, which means when she's flaring, I have to be super gentle, which sucks if I don't because we both have high libido, pretty experienced, and she is a freak of nature in bed, so when she is hurting, I have to watch for small signs that people might not notice so I don't cause joint or skin inflammation. Good days, crazy hyenas. Bad days, Disney. I'm really great at the bodily cues now, but it took attentive time and patience. I have arthritis in my knees, and something going on with my hips, so most positions are big ouch regardless, or it's a constant switching to rest some joint before it locks up. Honestly considering some kind of swing for the sexcapades. Or maybe rig a system so I can ninja drop in like I'm stealing a diamond the size of my head. When I was stationed in Hawaii, I met a girl online that was deaf. She was absolutely gorgeous, biracial, petite, and had a disarming smile. When we finally decided to meet and hang out, my sign language skills were almost non-existent. But she was pretty good at reading lips and she had a little electric device that we could type things out for the other to read. When we finally went back to my place and got down to business, things were moving along and going very well. We were both getting really into it as I took her to Plowtown. It was then that this lovely girl, whom I hadn't heard a single peep out of the entire time we'd been together, let off this very loud bizarre sound that I can't even explain. It scared the hell out of me and I jumped off thinking I had hurt her. She assured me that she was okay, but I had gone completely soft in the commotion. I think she was a little embarrassed, but I got her the rest of the way to where she needed to be using alternate means. Then we grabbed some McDonald's, and I took her home. Edit. This really blew up and got way more attention than I ever thought it would. Thanks for the likes and comments everyone. Explain the sound that made your dick soft. It's hard to explain, but if you've ever heard someone with a developmental disability get happy or excited, it was kind of like that. She had been completely deaf since birth, so she had no awareness of tone, pitch, or volume of her own voice. It just really caught me off guard because she had been completely silent for the few hours we had been hanging out and the very first thing I heard from her was this alarming sound mid-thrust. I know exactly that sound. I never even thought about it. But yeah, that kinda makes sense, that's what sound would come out. That definitely would have ducked me up a little bit, lol. I felt bad that I might have embarrassed her, but it was truly startling. I'm M, the one with the disability. I have joint problems and on occasion my knee or hip will just locate. It's a bit of a mood killer when the rhythm goes from ow to ow. I've got issues in my right knee to the point I can't kneel very long, so doggy is totally out of the question. Not even sure I can get on a knee to propose properly, but no, doggy is okay with me since I literally last like 3 seconds in that position. I've had a few different experiences. I hooked up with a girl with dwarfism, and it's hard to describe how it was different. I've hooked up with plenty of short girls over the years, but it's a different situation. Part of it is leverage because of the length of the limbs, or the fact that various parts are out of proportion. The sex wasn't bad, just different. I also once dated a girl who had one of those tiny malformed arms, and the best way to describe the sex comes from Andy Botwin in Weeds. The sex was pretty good, but I loved when she jerked me off with a tiny baby hand because it made my dick look huge. My partner has ulnar hyperplasia, so a little physical difference. One of his arms is shorter and missing an elbow, and ulnar too obviously, and both of his hands only have 3 fingers, but the sex is wonderful. We've been dating for 5 years now and he's just like anyone else, but with a few less bones because we were each other's firsts. We know each other's bodies so well that there's no serious differences. His hands are smaller, and one scoops inward, so if anything with my tiny boobies. He has perfect boob grabbing hands. He's a wonderful guy and I love him and his lil hands more than anything. Red heart. She was just really short, which at some point becomes classed as a disability. Not a whole lot different. She was just small. How much? Less than 5 feet? Like 4 feet 8 inches, I believe. Being a child isn't a disability, dude. Blind guy. About to shag. We were really good friends, then one day on my couch it happened. We started making out. We hurry off to the bed. He knew my place well and didn't need a cane. Get there, we had been only kissing. When he found out how large my boobs were, he goes, damn nice surprise. Had no idea. I laughed and we had some really great sex. Several times. Dated a girl with spina bifida. She was very short and her spine was bent, but it was honestly some of the best sex I ever had. She was wild. Seemed like a completely normal thing to me. Had sex with a girl with seizures by the pool. She had it after an orgasm. I held her there in my arms till she was calmer. Edit. Thank you for the awards, kind strangers. Edit 2. Just so you know, I didn't keep going, that'd be rape. I immediately stopped. Not to be insensitive, but now you can accurately say your dick is so good, it gives people seizures. Finally I found one, lol. I posted about my own fiancée giving me her world-class seizure causing BJs. I tried assuring her it was a good thing if anything. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.